What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And this episode is recapping and reviewing Riverdale Season 5, Episode 17, and it's called Chapter 93, Dance of Death, directed by Nat Bolt. Ooh.
Don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending because we're going to go through our recap roundups. We didn't actually get any roundups from you guys this week. I feel like everyone was still asleep for that episode. But we will go through our best moments, our MVPs of the episode. We have a lot to talk about. So stick around for the end of the podcast for that.
And as always, to our continuing listeners and our brand new ones, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let us get up into this gig.
I'm really excited to hear what you have to say and whether you liked it or not overall.
You know what? This is, I guess, the episode before the finale. I'm assuming, like, I feel like it is, right? And then we go into
thinking that.
Is it the musical? Is the musical the finale or what? What's going on? I think that is the situation. I think that they are ending it next episode.
Second last episode, basically.
I don't know. Anyways,
what episode was this? No, there's
this
two
was
more.
episode. Oh, there's two more. Got it. I mean, okay, so to that point, the season is coming to an end. The mystery is now being solved. It has been solved. A lot of things got tied up. So I'm happy about how everything got tied up.
Yeah.
It's a lot of questions still, I think. But at the same time, I'm glad that this Mothman plus the murders, like the highway murders, plus the Polly storyline, like I think everything finalized
came together. Yeah,
I was happy with the way that it all went down. I would say, and yeah, what did you think?
I would agree with you. I think it was a long time coming. As the mysteries usually, like I forgot about the Mothman like completely. I was like, oh, we still didn't solve that guy's thing.
That fucking storyline.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really good. I'm satisfied with the ending, even though there's a bit like a bunch of holes in it. I'm like, huh? But I'll take it. I'll buy it. I'll buy a ticket. Whatever.
Yeah, you got my ticket. We're here. Yeah. You know, what are you gonna do?
I liked it. I thought it was good, and we did get a resolution to Polly's story. So if you haven't watched, and this is a spoiler.
Spoiler.
R-I-P.
I mean, oh girl. That was dark. That got dark.
We were just talking about this really quick, guys. This episode was very dark, but I felt like it needed to be. Like I was okay with the way it was and like how emotional that felt at the end. Like I needed it to get there. It couldn't just been like she's dead. We found her body. Bye. No, it needed to be like this intense. Even with Veronica's storyline, like it got really intense. Yeah. So I was happy with it.
I think that it gave me like old school Riverdale vibes to a degree. It kind of reminded me almost of like the Jason Blossom murder and how like they reveal the body at that one point in time and everybody breaks down and all that. So yeah, I think that it was very satisfying. See what I did there?
Oh, I like that.
Satisfying. Okay, let's get into the episode. Lots to talk about. Starts right off the top. Pop's Diner. Tabitha and Betty are coming back. And Betty's basically annoyed. It's so funny because you mentioned it in the promo where you're like, get away from me, like while they're walking down the highway. She literally says that to Tabitha. She's like, well, they're not going to. And it does make sense. Like, who's picking up? Like, who's picking up two people from the side of the road? Like, no one's doing that. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. So anyway, she says that she's going to keep doing it, though. She doesn't care. And then in that moment, Betty gets a call from Dr. Curdle Jr. about the body of the other killer. And he basically says that, like, you know, this fridge is getting stinky. Like, I don't know, like the bill's pretty high. And she says, okay, I'll come with cash to like pay your
if anyone
fridge
was going to
bill.
store a body, it would be him, though. Like, why is he sketching out? He's literally
I know. I'm just like, he's like,
you literally pay for that.
People. I'm like, that's literally your job.
Like, the fridge costs money. I'm like, but you already have one. So
and like, how many bodies are you storing at this point? So considering,
like, anyway. I would definitely ship Curdle and Betty. Like, I kind of like those two together.
Same. If this entire storyline, like, we don't get a Barchie, we get like Dr. Curdle Jr. and Betty. Like,
they're just so okay like messed up together. I love it.
Yeah, they're like very like dark. So she goes to head over there. Then it cuts to Thornhill, and Cheryl and Archie are talking about the payments because they've been mining, and he really wants to save Riverdale, so he wants to like put that money toward the house.
I love this scene. I love this scene because honestly, season 1 Archie would have just like volunteered and like worked for free. But this season, Archie is like, where's my money be? Like, I'm
That
risking my life on a weekly
right.
basis. I want to get paid.
That being said, he literally gets Venmoed like $500 to split what 10 ways between like
Was it
all the people
500? I
that are
couldn't
working.
see how much it
It
was.
was like 500
Oh
bucks.
my
I was like,
God.
he was so satisfied. He was like, yes.
He's like,
And I'm
here,
like,
I'll send you money. He's like, cool.
you've been digging for 500. Like
That's like an hour.
that's like $9. Like not even like that's like
Uh,
below minimum wage. So anyway, she sends him some money to kind of start it all up. And then it cuts to Veronica and Chad talking about their divorce.
yeah. So they're splitting up their
He's
assets, right? Which like I was
it
surprised. I was like,
happens.
I feel like this would have already happened though. Like, okay, can I just say right here?
Yeah.
Last week we spoke about timeline issues and like the order of events. This one
Yeah.
again, I felt like her storyline, this should have happened right after she told Archie, like, I'm gonna get a divorce. Like Archie was like, you need to go get your divorce finalized. Like
Yeah.
this happened so many weeks later where I'm like, so much happened in between that moment and this.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to remember, like, she was all tied up in his bullshit up until like
Like,
even
what was the
last
whole Wall
episode.
Street thing then? If she like
Yeah.
she could have just divorced him, what is she waiting for?
No, but she couldn't because that was the point. He was holding it over her head, being like, well,
Oh,
if you're going to divorce me, then they're going to find out that you, like, I've been like laundering money through your business, right? Like,
oh,
that's the whole situation. So it makes sense why it's here. But anyway, we get to this point, and he's being a bitter Betty, not to shade Betty, but he like wants alimony. He wants to take the Pembroke. And she honestly is like, fuck this, take it all, take my ring, take everything. All I want is Archie. I don't know why she needed to say that,
when
but
she said it, I cringed because I knew she was gonna say that, and I was like,
and it was gonna
okay,
come back to bite
like
her in the
don't do
ass.
it for just Archie, do it for your freedom. Like she could have just said,
Yeah.
I want to be free of you. Like
Yeah.
I would have respected that more. She's like, I need Archie now. But it's like you never even mentioned him for like 2 episodes. Like, yes, you everything you were doing was for him. We understand that.
Right.
But a nice like nod to Archie throughout those 2 weeks would have been nice too to connect those two storylines.
Yes, I agree. You're right, because like they don't even
They
connect.
don't, she doesn't even say I'm doing this for Archie and us. She doesn't even say that.
Yeah.
And now she says it.
Now she says it. And she like yells at him, and obviously he gets even more bitter about it. And I'm just like, girl, you're always starting up trouble with this guy by like opening your fucking mouth. Like, anyway. So she leaves. He's obviously pissed. Then it cuts to the Thornhill ministry, and Penelope and Kevin are like lighting candles. And basically, Penelope alludes to the fact that Cheryl is like running another cult. Like, she's like, you know what she's doing is pretty shady. Like, she was holding the bees. It was very like Wicker Man-esque. Shout out to that movie.
What is that?
It's a movie about, I think, a cult who like kill Jack, what's his name, Nicolas Cage. They like put a wicker
Oh,
basket on his head, and like they fill it with bees, and he's like, the bees.
wow.
There's a clip of it on YouTube, because like, Nicolas Cage,
It's
he's
iconic.
crazy. He's iconic. So she kind of warns Kevin. Kevin starts to feel a little uneasy, and he's like, well, if this is a cult, then you're a part of it too. And Penelope says, but like, my will is a steel rod. Like, can you say the same about you? And I'm like, well, considering he's already fallen for a cult, the answer is no. Like, absolutely not. Like, he's a loser. Then it cuts to Pop's diner. Tabitha gets a call from Squeaky's mom. And like, I was like, first of all, how long did it
Yeah.
take for her to like call
Yeah.
up
This
Pops and be like,
again.
hey, where's my daughter?
I guess the only reason why they did that was to sort of like incite like Tabitha to be like, let's go find these girls.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, yeah, for sure. That's why.
Yeah,
it
I forgot about
happened.
that girl though. Sorry.
I totally forgot about that girl. They had to give us a flashback because I didn't even know what the fuck she looked like. Because it happened the very first episode.
But like
back,
Jayla,
right?
like Polly should have been enough reason for them to do this. Like it was so like
I know.
your sister's missing.
I know. I think it was just more like getting Tabitha in the mix of
Yeah.
it, because like she's out here like doing it just because she wants to protect Betty.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then it cuts to Tony, and she's like back at school, had the baby, like no maternity leave whatsoever. Like, she's literally back in the office, and essentially she brings Britta in, and Britta got into a fight because some guy called her a homophobic slur. And then Tony's like, okay, I'll talk to him. But then Britta goes on to say, P.S. like, I might be gay. But she doesn't know how to talk to her parents, and she asks Tony to be there for her to like as support, and she's like,
Mhm.
absolutely, I'll be there. I thought this was a really cute
It's so
moment.
cute. I loved it.
I was
Yeah.
like, I liked Tony's and Britta's like their storyline
Yeah.
outside of the fact that Britta
And I
had to
love
get
that
kidnapped.
she's the
Like,
guidance counselor. Like I love that
yeah,
there's like that outlet for those stories to be told.
totally.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if they can, I mean, they probably won't continue with like a next generation because it's all about Archie. But like, if they were to do like a Degrassi-esque like
Mhm.
next generation thing, I love that like she's kind of like the teacher who like takes care of all
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
people's problems. Anyways, cutting back to Hiram and Chad talking. First of all, I'm like, I didn't even know that they were like buddy outside of the
Yeah.
fact that like they bought stocks together or whatever. Like he bought
Yeah.
into his company. I thought that he didn't even really like Chad that much in the very
Yeah, because he
beginning.
didn't come to the wedding.
He didn't come to the wedding. He also called him like, he's not an alpha. Like he basically
Yeah.
said that shit to Veronica from the very beginning. Anyway, whatever. They're like friends because they both hate Archie at this point. And he wants Veronica back. Hiram is basically saying, you know, Archie is like the one. Like that is her weak spot. If you want like her back, you have to kill Archie. And he
What did
literally
you
just
think about this?
slides a gun over. I get why he said it, but at the same time, I'm also just like, you literally are telling her to like telling him to kill somebody to get your girl. Like I
don't know.
I thought it was very extreme,
Yeah.
a little unlike what we were hoping for with
Yeah.
Hiram's character at this point in time. Like you're still out here trying to get a teenage boy. Like I don't understand why you hate Archie to the point where you literally want to kill him. And I mean I do,
And,
but
like,
at the same
as a
time I'm just like,
father-
why are we doing this right now?
As a father, like, wouldn't you rather her be with someone like Archie? Like, he's honorable, he's respectable. Like, would you
Yes.
rather her be with Chad? Like, I didn't
That's
understand that. Like, it didn't line up with everything that we've been seeing of Hiram this
yeah,
season.
I agree.
And I was very taken aback to the point where, like, I thought he was doing it on purpose, where he wanted to set Chad up. Chad gets set up for murder. He goes to jail. Veronica's financial
Ooh.
issues are out the window. I literally thought he was doing it for
Like he
her
was like
protection.
low key like
Yeah.
saving her on the side without her even
Yeah.
realizing. Oh,
Because that's the
that would have been
Hiram
good.
that's the Hiram that we've kind of like been seeing this season, and like
Totally.
we've been wanting to see more of. That he
Yeah.
ultimately does protect his family. He just does it in a very weird way.
Right.
But this guy straight up was like, no, kill him. I was very like disappointed and
Yeah.
like, very taken aback. I was like, bruh, like,
And that's the thing. It's like these are the reasons why the fandom hate Hiram so much when they make him do these things that
this
don't
was
make
very
any
extreme.
sense.
This was like
Like-
here's a ghost gun, kill him.
Like
But also, what has Archie done to you this whole season? He hasn't done anything to you. So, like,
Yeah.
what's the hate?
I'm mostly just like I was pretty annoyed with where they took his character for sure. I think what you said would have made a lot more sense. Okay, so anyway, he gives him the ghost gun. Then it cuts back to Riverdale High, and they're in the lounge. Cheryl and Kevin are talking, and he just asks Cheryl point blank, so who are we like praying to? Like, are we talking to Jason? Like, what's the dealio? And she kind of doesn't have an answer for him. So she says, I'm going to go on a fast and I'm going to like figure it out. So she goes on this like fancy cleanse fast. Talk to you later. Then it cuts back to Pop's diner, and Tabitha's talking to Jughead and Betty, basically saying, Squeaky's been missing. I know that you guys used to be like the best of the best, like sleuths in the beginning, like in high school. Can you help with this? And I thought this was a cute like Bughead moment.
Me
If we
too.
want to shout out to the Bugheads, like the one thing that I wrote down is why couldn't this have happened earlier?
Yeah,
like
same.
to your point, everything just kind of came together in this episode where like it's been 17 episodes and nothing was happening before that.
And like, what does that say about Betty's skills? That like she could not
Like,
solve this on her own. She needed Jughead to do it in like
Bugs.
15 minutes.
I mean, it's also funny because they were together in the very beginning of this season, and that's why they met the Mothman. And then Betty was like, "You're stupid. What are you talking about?" So in a way, let me give this to them. They brought Bughead back to finish a story that they started, which ended with Betty being like, "You're fucked." So I think that as things continue with them, they'll realize like they're better together. I think that's kind of where we're going.
I did
with
enjoy
this.
seeing that for sure. It was.
I
Cute.
did. I was
It-
happy to
it
see
took
them
us
together.
back. Yeah.
They're good sleuths. Like you got to give them that. So then it cuts to the El Royale. Like Archie's throwing out garbage in the back alley, and Chad comes in with like a hood on, and he like runs at him.
Dude,
Archie's like, Chad, is that you? It's like so brightly lit that he can see his face. And then he starts shooting at him like a crazy person. He's like,
and like misses like 80,000 times.
Yeah, he misses
every shot. He should have hired
shot.
Someone to kill him.
Yeah, like wow, he's a loser. And then Archie literally uses like a Captain America shield, like the tin top, and like whacks it at him. He gets knocked out, and then he runs away.
He leaves
and I'm just
the gun,
like,
right?
Yeah, he leaves the gun. He drops the gun.
It was so like the end of Chad was very poorly thought out and written. Yeah. Like they gave the guy like a very cheap ending because like this guy would have probably hired someone to do his dirty work. Like he wouldn't have done it himself. Like there's so many things that I don't know, but we're not here to really judge Chad. He's just like a C character. So like whatever.
Like he literally covered up a helicopter crash and now he can't even like cover this shit up. Like I don't know.
Yeah, for me all it shows is how poor judgment Veronica has in choosing her partners. That's all it shows, because if you're telling me she chose this guy to marry, like what was she thinking? At least make this guy like a legit guy where you could be like, damn, like she must have really loved him and like things kind of just went wrong, like whatever.
Right.
But, like this guy's sloppy AF. Like he can't do anything right. Can't do a stock, can't do his divorce papers, can't do his shooting, killing, flying a helicopter.
Yeah, he legit like whatever Rodis said to him, like he's a little bitch. Like he's so useless. Anyway, then it cuts to Betty and Jughead, and they're working on this case. They have like the whole like, you know, she has her map up, her homeland map up, and she just catches him up on like what she thinks it is. It's a family of people, blah 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 blah. Then they go on to say they need to find Lerman because he got abducted and he had a similar story. And then I was like, wow, they're really reaching to like the back of the beginning of the season. Yeah. I barely remembered. And, I was like,
Jughead had to say it. He was like, well, yeah, like Lerman was like my student and like, I was gonna ask him before like episode 3, but like I couldn't because like I was his teacher. But now I'm fired and now he's not here, so I can ask him, interview him next scene. I was like, oh, thank you
thank you for all your detailed information. I really appreciate it. So they're like, okay, we need to find him on Facebook. Like let's get in connection with him. Yeah. And then they get a call from Dr. Curdle Jr. Then it cuts to Dr. Curdle Jr.'s, and they found a body and it's completely dismembered to the point where like it's not recognizable. And Dr. Curdle thinks it could be Polly, but he needs to do a DNA test. So he swabs Betty and she's like, okay, sounds good. She also tells him about Squeaky, and it's like it could also be Squeaky because like she's also been missing. Yeah. Then it cuts to Chad and Veronica in divorce. I want to say court. It's not divorce court. They're just like sitting beside each other. And now with this new information about him trying to kill Archie, she just like pops off on him, and she's basically like, your pathetic attempt at killing my lover made me reconsider, and you get nothing. So
she's like, now the game is over. I will sue you for murder. Well, it wasn't murder, like attempted murder. Like he didn't kill him. She's like, and I will get everything back. And he just sat there like, oh my god, like he's so stupid. Like this is all so dumb.
I also love how he's just like, well, how are you gonna do that? She's like, you left the fucking gun, you idiot.
You left the gun.
You ran away and you didn't realize that you didn't have the gun anymore? Are you fucked?
I can't.
Like
it's too easy.
You're absolutely right. Like he didn't become this slimeball, smart, cunning man that could even match her. So why did she even any'all? Whatever. We can't even get into it because like he's gone now. I don't care.
Yeah.
Then it cuts to Thornhill, and y'all, it is 10 o'clock in the morning. They were having the most dope ass breakfast
feast.
Like every croissant you could ever ask for. She's been munching down. Yeah. That is the craft table for the entire staff. Like they just put it in the front and they like, I wanted to eat everything. Anyway, Penelope's mowing this like croissant and she's like, hey Cheryl, like how's your diet going? Mashing her face. It was so funny.
Cheryl was on the thing, right?
She's on her fast. Yeah. So she's sitting there being like,
so
I'm fine. She's like about to pass out. Poor Cheryl. Like sitting in the corner being like, I'm good. I'm good.
Well, at one point she got up and like she almost fell, and I was like, "What's wrong with her?" And I'm like, "Oh, she hasn't
she's
eaten.
literally
Like, I forgot."
fasting. Yeah, she's like about to lose it. So anyway, she leaves. She's like, I'm gonna go paint. Then it cuts to Hiram and Chad talking, and then he basically says like, I tried to kill like Archie, it didn't work out for me. Like, bro, are you
He's
I would
dumb.
be so embarrassed if I was Chad to even go back
And
to
then you
Hiram.
left the gun.
I would have left town.
Yeah,
I
like
would have
not
left.
even come back.
I'm like, I would have
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
excused myself.
It's true.
Hiram basically is like, you fucking suck. Don't ever like make a boy do a man's job. Like, you're such a loser.
So again, the anger level in this scene was like Hiram was like livid.
Yeah.
I get it because she stole the palladium, like, but
Yeah,
he
he's
is on
pissed
a
about
mission
that.
to like truly end Archie. Like,
Right.
this is happening. I'm like, this is crazy.
Well, that's the thing that annoyed me too. To that point, his motive for killing Archie is the fact that Veronica stole the palladium.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm just like, but what does this have to do with Archie? He's just doing it to hurt
it makes
Veronica.
her happy. Yeah, he makes her happy.
I don't know if that makes any sense. Go after your daughter. Like, maybe talk to your daughter. Like, how about that? Anyway, dysfunction. Clearly, obviously, we know this. So he gets pissed. He's like, never even come back here. Like, my daughter's never going to ever like talk to you ever again because you're a loser. And then he just leaves. Then it cuts to Veronica visiting Archie, and then we get our moment of Varchie. Hey,
he's like, hey, I gotta go to work and like go into a mine. She's like, I am divorced now.
She's like, divorce papers, here they are. Let's fuck. So then they go upstairs.
First of all, that song was horrendous.
Fucking awful, right?
It was like, I'm playing Mario. I was like, what is this Mario soundtrack? Like, it's terrible.
I literally wrote that song was weird as fuck though. Like,
yeah,
I was just like, everything else was fine. Cute
everything
shots,
like
whatever, like, they're having sex. It's fine. We finally get a like the Varchie shippers.
Excited, yeah.
I was like annoyed for them because I was a Varchie shipper, I would have been like, change the music, switch it with something else.
Guys,
like,
what is wrong with you guys? Like, put anything.
The song doesn't even have to have
lyrics. The song was trash. It took me out of the moment. It was like,
yeah.
I was like, what is
nothing about that song? Like, no offense to like the artist of that song, but like, y'all did not choose the right song for that.
No, I mean, like,
moment.
it's a good song, but like, not for this moment where like they're having sex for the first time in like months. Like,
and that's the thing, we've been waiting. Like, Varchie shippers have been waiting for this moment, and this is what you give them, like this like shitty song.
It took me totally out of the moment, and I was just like,
I'm glad that you said that, because I was like, this is weird.
I watched it twice to see like if I would maybe I'm just being a hard like judge.
The second time
I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible. I was like waiting for it to end, like for the music to end.
And I almost, to the point where I almost was like, did they do this on purpose to make us feel awkward?
I don't think
you know what I mean?
No, I don't think so.
Like, do you think they're awkward together now? You know what I mean?
No.
Anyways.
I think they just can't choose songs. They probably have like a list of like 3 songs they can choose from, and like this was the only remote. I don't know what made you guys think that this was the only song. I was like, who's playing Mario in the background of this like scene right now?
The sex scene. Anyway, they have sex. They have their moment. Good for them. They're back together. Cuts to Betty and Alice talking at home, and she spills all the beans to Alice about the fact that they found this dismembered body, and then she's checking the DNA to see if like it's like Polly, and then fucking Alice has to like walk out the door to have like to do her job. Like, she has to be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go take my
I was like, Betty,
leave.
maybe you should have told her.
Maybe you should have done that. Maybe you should have waited until she was having a glass of wine after work.
It's such a hard dynamic between the two of them, because it's like, I think Alice just wants to know more. Like, you're stuck in this thing where like she doesn't want to just live in a bubble anymore. Like, she needs to know, but then also it's like hard because it's like this information is literally about your daughter.
Like, what do I need to tell? Yeah. What do I need to tell my mom at this point?
And what she says later was really heartbreaking.
Yeah. So then it cuts to Cheryl and Kevin talking about the painting that she did. She's like, I got an epiphany. Here's my painting. It's a painting of an angel and a cardinal and a ship. And
she's like, this is what came out.
She's like, this is it. Elements, y'all, elements. So she wants to worship the elements, specifically Mother Gaia, Mother Earth.
Yeah.
And Kevin's like, I'm out. I'm like,
I mean, this
you
makes
got
the
more
most sense.
This one
Like,
makes the most
this
sense.
actually makes sense. For weeks you have been in a cult, basically. Now she actually like legitimized it, and now you're like, I'm a dip out though. This doesn't make sense.
So what if it was about if you were praising Jason, you would have just stayed?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
I actually
like,
really liked the way she tied it all in. She was like, we should pray to like the earth. I was like, damn, like maybe I was like, that makes sense. Like,
I know everything everything she said. I was like, sign me up. I'm like,
yeah, okay. I'm like, and it's true. Like the wind did come through for her. Like how many times? One time, but like it was big.
This girl's a Wiccan. Like I'm in. Anyway,
but, yeah. Of course, like, Kevin's like, bye.
I know. I was like, gays love witches. What's wrong with you? Fucking loser. He's such a disgrace to the gay like fucking community. Anyways, so then obviously he leaves, and she's like, honestly, it's totally fine. Like, you always have a place here if you ever want to come back. Yeah. Like, she was totally so cool cute. With it. Yeah, she's like, it's fine.
She's like, Kevin, and you could have always left. He's like, yeah, but
he's like, I have trauma. She's like, I have nothing else, so I'm gonna say. And then it shows like Penelope lurking. She's super happy with herself, and then like she leaves. It's probably like still eating croissant. She's like, yeah.
She made me want a croissant. I was like, oh, dang.
Yeah, I know. I'm so hungry still.
I think you were very hungry when you watched the episode.
I'm still very hungry. I'm like fasting until 12. So it cuts to Pop's Diner, and then Betty and Jughead are at a booth waiting for Lerman. And then this is when they hear Alice on the news, and like Tabitha turns the volume up, and she's basically like, hey, murderers, stop. Like, stop doing what you're doing. Yeah. But I mean, to your point, it was a really sad moment because she like lays it all out on the floor. She's like, my daughter's been missing. Every single time I hear a phone call, I think about my daughter.
She's like, how bad is it that I hope the phone call comes and says that she's dead?
Yeah.
Because she's like, I'm tired of living in this like nightmare. She's like, I just want to wake up and like have the answer. I was like, oh my God. And her acting was so good. Like, I started to cry. I was like, this is so painful when you're stuck in this middle of like, you don't know, you don't want to know, but then you also want to know because you want this sort of chapter to come to a close so that you could start like grieving and like start moving on.
Yeah, totally. And it's very like real because like this shit is like, this happens to parents all the time, you know, like when their kids go missing and like you don't know where they are and all you want is to get some closure. And you know, like she's been suffering, so it was hard to see it. At the same time, I'm also just like, Alice, did you have to do this on like air to like show every single person in the world that like you're
she's a news person, so like it does make sense, right?
I get it, but at the same time, I'm also just like, I know what's gonna come next. Like they're gonna try to get the body, like everything that happened after. I was like, this is what happened. Anyways, in that moment, as soon as she finishes what she says, everybody's gagged, and Lerman walks in, and they're like, okay, let's get to the next storyline. Then it cuts to Fangs and Tony talking, and they're talking at home in the apartment.
Dude, Fangs and Tony had some great scenes this episode.
I was just going to say, I was like, as an FYI, Fangs and Tony had some really sweet moments this episode. I love that they're like, bringing them together.
So real, very real talks, very real chemistry.
Yes.
Like life talks. I'm in love with the two of them. Not even just romantically, just like as friends on screen together. We never get to see a relationship like that. Loved it. I love every part of their relationship.
Yeah, I thought it was very, to your point, they were able to like talk through Britta's shit and like talk about their life stories. We got a little bit of more information about Fangs and like how he came out to his dad being bi. And I just thought it was really interesting. Like I was very interested to watch them on screen. Me too. Anyways, she says that Britta's parents didn't really take it very well. They were like, are you sure? Do you have to be gay? And obviously like not ideal. Then I said like Tony was talking about how it relates to her. Fangs talks about being bi. And she says, for the record, no matter what baby Anthony is, I'll be ecstatic. And I'm like, we know. I mean, obviously, what are you going to do? Reject your child? You're literally a lesbian and you're with a bisexual. What are you going to do? For the record, if he comes out gay, out. Yeah. Get out. Out the door.
It was so cute though. I loved it.
Yeah, really, really cute. Then it cuts to Hiram. We got this clock that he keeps watching, as we said.
It's like
tick tock,
from,
tick tock.
on like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Boom! Explosion. The palladium mines explode, and Archie goes. So the palladium mines explode. Everyone's freaking out. Everyone's evacuating, but then they realize that Eric is even deeper in the mines, and so Archie goes in to help Eric while everybody else escapes. So when this happens, Kevin calls Cheryl, who calls Veronica about the whole collapse. Everybody's freaking out, whatever. Cuts back to Pop's diner. Betty and Jughead are talking to Lerman, and he just explains like his story. He's like, I was sleepwalking, and then I was in a metal shed. Like, he basically says the whole story about the Mothman, and he's like, there were voices, I could hear them, like more than one. And Betty's like, more than one, like a family. And I was like, okay, like we get it. Like there's a family now. Like she's like, we get your point. Like even Jughead is like, chill. And a Mothman, he says, came to help him escape. And he's like, he had red eyes, but like he also had like red scars on his face, like blah blah blah, something like that. And the guy says to him like he was a mistake and that he shouldn't have been caught in the first place. And he said, don't tell anyone or I'll come back and I will like kill you. And he says that he could hear the highway, so it is nearby the highway, which in my opinion, I know that the highway is a long highway or whatever. You would have thought that the FBI, Betty, anyone else would have like
helicopter like raids. So can I ask you a question? Who saved that guy? Do we find out in the end who saved him?
Yeah, we do find out in the end. Again, another thing that I'd like to talk about after, because I was just like,
I can't remember who saved him.
So then in that moment, Betty gets a text from Dr. Curdle about the results. He's like, I need to talk to you about it in person. Dramatic much? Like, he's like, I need to talk to you about it in person. So then it cuts to Veronica and she gets to the mines and Frank says there was a deliberate explosion. And she's like, I know who it was.
This scene killed me because she gets there and they're like,
and Frank is so hot.
Yeah. And she's like, there's an explosion. And she's like, what kind of explosion? And they're like, a deliberate one. I'm like,
like no one says that.
Does a deliberate one sound different than like an accidental explosion? Like, do they look different? Like, I was like, I started dying of laughter. I'm like, I don't know, like how that doesn't even make sense. She's like, oh, and then she's like, I know who did it now.
I am aware of this as a situation. So anyway, she's about to go off to see Hiram.
How does her hand get cut?
She's holding rocks. She'd be holding rocks. She's like later. She like is
that was
rocks.
After. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
Happens after. So then it cuts to the cave. And Archie finds Eric under like all this rubble. And he's like, okay, we got to get out of here. We have to like conserve our like energy and our air. Like we're going to run out of air soon. So a pretty serious scene. Then it cuts to Dr. Curdle Jr., his place. And it turns out that the body is not Polly's, but it is Squeaky's body. So he does say, though, that there is DNA of Betty in the body of Tongue Boy. And she's like, what? So that was the whole gag of the whole situation. He was like, I checked your DNA against his body, and now like you basically are cousins. Like she's like,
I'm related to the tongue guy.
And that's when she was like, what the fuck? And even I was like, what the fuck is happening? And it turns out that it could potentially be Jughead's like, maybe it's the Blossom side of your family, because the Coopers are all basically dead. Like she knows like about where they are, but the Blossom side, because she is the cousin, that is where it comes from. So Dr. Curdle is now like, by the way, while I was at the lab getting these test results, somebody came in and stole the bodies. So then Jughead is like, it's obviously the Blossoms. Like they stole the body when we were at Pop's diner and we thought it was like the alien, and that was all coming from Nana Blossom. So like we gotta talk to the Blossoms now. And Tabitha's like, I just need to talk to Squeaky's family now because like she's gagged that her friend has like
Yeah.
basically been chopped up into pieces, which was fucked. I
It
was
was
like,
fucked. Yeah.
the show gets really dark in
got
like very
dark.
weird ways. Like, here's the thing: when you do a show like Riverdale, and you know it's like based on a comic, but then you bring in like real shit like this, like it's very dark in the sense that like people literally do this like as serial killers, and it kind of sits wrong in your stomach. Anyways.
And also the fact that like at first they're missing and you have hope, but then like it's taken away and they're like, oh my God, they're dead.
Yeah, it's all fun and games until a fucking dismembered body shows up and you find out that it was like the person from 7 episodes ago. You're like, holy, this is like really fucked. Anyway, then it cuts to I'm like, anyway, moving on from murders. I know. I'm gonna be like, ooh.
That last scene that we saw of her was the last scene, like her running from the truck.
Yeah. That is the final scene that we get to see.
Oh my God, I got chills.
So
I
sad.
did not. Anyway,
I know.
Sorry.
It's fucked. Then it cuts to Hiram listening to the radio about the collapse. And in that moment, as soon as he like takes a sip, he's like, ha ha ha. He like gets knocked out by Veronica from behind. And then commercial break, she's tying him up. And she just has this like moment where she's basically like, I should have known when I talked to the counselor that one time that our sick dance of death can only end with one of us dying. Then she goes on to talk about
your impression.
This is how she talks. So then she talks about the day of her quinceanera. I just want to ask you.
I was like, what? That
was the moment.
It's been like 15 years. It's been 7+ your quinceanera. So like, how many years has it been?
Like almost 10 years. Yeah.
And now you're saying her
now
trauma
you're bringing
started
it up,
from
girlfriend.
Girl,
that is
my whole
trauma.
family was basically telling my parents it better be a boy when I was born. So like, I'm not traumatized for life. Like what?
Girl, there's other things that you could have brought up, like maybe
also,
trying to kill your boyfriend multiple times.
Fine,
like, I don't
your
know.
dad said that when you were like 15 or whatever, but like he's also been by your side like through it all too. Like I'm sure you guys have still had like your come through moments. Like, so to chalk it all up to like that one moment, I was like, girl.
Yeah, it was very weird for her to bring up that specific moment. And also, do you remember it? Because I did not remember it.
No, there's no scene like that.
There's no scene, right?
We never saw that. No.
Okay, because I was
don't
like,
think so.
I was like, Twitterverse or anyone who's listening, can you just confirm to see if we ever got that scene? Because I feel like that it would have been brought up 15 years ago then. You know what I mean? Like
that's my point. It's like she never even mentioned, or even if she had told Archie, my dad one time, he said this and it really got to me. And then now she finally had the balls to like say it to him.
Yeah.
It would have like all connected to me. But like for her to come out and say, and as she's saying it, she's like, Daddy, am I quinceañera? I was like, oh my God, what is she gonna say? Like, did she say kill someone? I was like, I'm like listening. And then she's
waiting.
Like, I heard you say to your people that you don't like. I was like, oh.
I'm like, did that happen though? Because like, I don't know. And also that's pretty weak sauce.
It's why do they do this?
Yeah, I don't know. I literally wrote like, why after all this time you're bringing this one fucking moment up?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, she essentially says like, you're here because if Archie dies, like I'm gonna kill you, like because you're a sociopath. And she goes, can you feel it, Daddy? Our dance of death is finally coming to an end. And I'm
I really
like,
hope it is.
Please, can we end it now?
End
Can one of you just die? Like this one, just go. Then it cuts to Jughead and Betty talking to Nana Rose, and Betty is like,
pause. Sorry, before we get to that, wouldn't your father being a Ponzi scheme like thing be worse than like him saying that about you like 18 years ago in your
that's
life?
what I'm saying.
Like, she could have been like, you embarrassed me. My whole life was uprooted to come back to Riverdale. You lost all our money. You embarrassed our family. Like she could have done all of that. Her whole life.
And I know that we're probably still leading up to, at this point, I don't even really have any faith if we're ever going to get this moment anymore, to be honest. So. But like that moment that we're hoping for, where like Hiram and Veronica can actually have a heart to heart and there's like not a one-sided conversation. Like he can tell her everything. She can tell him everything. There was nothing. He
easily just said like, no, I love you. Like you're my, like, fine. Okay. If he didn't say I love you, he'd be like, no, you're my daughter. Like I've always had your back no matter what. Like, he just stayed mute. Like it was just like
he could have just said like, you don't even understand the situation. You don't even understand what it meant when you stole my palladium. Like he could have said one line. to just be like, you don't get it, girl. You're a child and you don't understand like what I've been trying to do this whole time.
They hyped up the scene. Cammy was like, oh my God, it all goes down tonight. I was like, yeah, it goes down for your ex-husband, but not with your dad. Like there was a lot of lines missing from that dialogue between her and Hiram. I hope we get it, to your point. Like maybe we're still going to get something.
Yeah.
But to me, I feel like we're not. I don't know.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of over this like back and forth because I don't think they're doing it right. I don't think that they're doing the Hiram versus Veronica like storyline justice, and it's frustrating me.
To your point,
that's all.
If they did it justice, if they gave them that time to have that like conversation, I wouldn't mind the back and forth. Be like, I'm down for this. But they're not taking both of them there fully, and like I feel like something is lacking there.
Yeah.
And then we all of a sudden at the end get to see him like lighting that up. So even that was like, I'm like, what is happening?
I can't even go there with it. Yeah, we'll talk about that in that moment because I was just like, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it cuts to Jughead Betty talking to Nana Rose. And Betty like does not waste any time. She's like, focus on me right now.
Yeah, because
tell me your story. Yeah, she's like, where are the croissants? Yeah, she gets so angry at her. And turns out that the fake alien corpse that they found in like the maple syrup barrel was actually the body of a cousin named Timothy.
Yeah.
And he was like deformed.
Whole story about like him someone having an affair.
Yes.
With like the maids and then having babies.
So her husband, she says that her husband, Nana's husband, was like a big fat slut. And
I thought it was that guy or something that was in the
I know it was confusing. I had to watch it back like a few times to like understand her story.
So it was like Cheryl's grandfather.
Cheryl's grandfather was going around like effing people and like the maids and like the milkman and like whatever, not the milkman, like the milkwoman. And he kept having all these illegitimate children, and so she was responsible for getting rid of his problem by like getting rid of these children. So she knew about this family who was living in the woods, so she gave them the children.
Yeah.
And then she said up to a dozen kids. I was like,
half a dozen.
Oh, half a dozen. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was like, a dozen kids were taken by this couple. This couple who lives in the woods are like, please give us all your children.
The Stark wreath or something. The Stark
wreath? Stark Weathers or something like that.
Like, it sounds like a very Game of Thrones storyline.
Very Game of Thrones, except like Game of Thrones would never do that. Like they would never have this like trashy hillbilly families living in the fucking woods.
Yeah, instead it was like the White Walkers.
Yeah, exactly.
Giving the baby boys to the White Walkers.
It was that one place before who would like give the babies up. Yeah. Anyway, crossover. So she explains this whole fucking situation, and
this is what they always do though. Like at the 11th hour when you're like, who could it be? Somebody reveals like a huge bombshell, and you're like, this always existed in this world.
Know.
Like no one mentioned this before.
How are we supposed to know that as the audience? Like you're not dropping enough clues for us to even put that together. When they
do shit like this. Like she's like, yeah, and wait, and then Jughead was like, hold on, and he's like, you're telling me that there's a family of like
two generations
blossoms, illegitimate blossoms sitting in the. She goes, yeah, there is. I'm like,
why though? Like, to your point,
wish we got a mention of this a little bit before.
We literally do not get any information about the blossoms until like the last hour, and at this point in time, everyone, let's just assume that it's the blossoms. Whenever like moving forward, if there's ever a murder in Riverdale, it is Blossom related.
Yeah.
Like legitimately every single time Blossom related. It was Penelope Blossom who was the Gargoyle King.
Yeah.
It was fucking, I'm surprised that Nana Blossom was not the murderer. Like at this point. Like anyway,
it's just a very like cheap way of like tying a story together, because like your audience is never gonna know that. We were never gonna know that.
We were never gonna know.
If they put it as like a clue, maybe in the beginning of the season, to be like, that could be like there's something there,
right?
And we just don't know exactly. Fine, but like now it's like, oh, okay, I could make anything up like at the 11th hour and say that ties everything together. Totally.
It don't make no sense, y'all.
Anyways, whatever,
I just thought it was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But okay, fine. We get the story. We get the answers from Nana.
So sorry, there's a bunch of there's a bunch of blossoms living there, and those are the people that were killing people.
Yeah, they're half blossoms technically. Yes.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Anyways.
But why did they kill people?
You find out from the guy, like Jughead's like
Right. Okay, got it now.
conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
And then so in this moment they get a text from Tony saying that there's an emergency, though, so they have to leave. Back at the mines, people are trying to get them out, and Archie hallucinates Bingo, who by the way was like super cute.
He was cute. I was like,
and he's like,
Bingo?
he's like, don't quit, bitch. And I was like, okay, girl, get those rocks.
You're hype, man.
Yeah, and
get those rocks.
get those rocks over. And
can I ask you a question? Do you think this is the final thing of this Archie army trauma?
No, I don't think
because
so.
I keep asking you that because it's like there's like this epic thing that happens and like it saves him, and then you're like, sweet, it came full circle, like, you know,
right?
And that now this is it. Now he can literally go to the top and like start living his life now.
I don't think that's no, I don't think that's the situation, unfortunately. I think that we're gonna have to like hold on to these ghost friends for a little bit longer, because he hasn't really figured it all out, I don't think. So anyway, his ghost friends help him move the rocks. Like, it was a cute moment, but also I was like, ghost friends? Cool. That's cute. Then it cuts to Tony and Fangs at the apartment. We get another cute moment with them. Oh wait, actually it's not a cute moment. It's because Betty and Jughead show up, and Tony goes on to say that Britta ran away yesterday, and now Jughead's worried that she's going to be on the lonely highway and she's going to get kidnapped.
So what I liked about this episode was the fact that like all these characters are communicating with each other in the matter of like 42 minutes. And I love that because sometimes people just show up randomly and you're like, how did you know that? Yeah. But this one was like, they called, they like met up. They're like, guys, let's go here. It just it makes everything feel very like seamless. And that they're actually living in the same world and same town. So I did appreciate that.
Yeah. And a lot more people were working together. At one point in time, I was like, everybody just drop it and save Archie first, and then you guys can go back to the murders. Like, let's do all together.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. It was fine. It was split up properly, I guess. So Tony decides that she's gonna go. Fangs is like, you can't go there out there by yourself. You're a mom now. And then she's
like, I need you to stay home.
He's like, no, I'm not a stay-at-home dad. I'm gonna come with you.
Fangs. Like, if this was Kevin, he would have been like, okay, I'll be right here.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll wait for you.
Yeah.
No, Fangs is like, I'm not leaving you. Are you nuts? He's like, I don't care. He's like, my mom can take care of the baby. Like, I'm coming. I was like, wow.
In 2 scenes, I'm more invested in Fangs and his storyline than Kevin. I've been in Kevin this whole fucking time, which is hilarious to me. I'm
just very, very surprised that they wouldn't even bring Kevin in on this storyline.
Yeah,
like nothing. Like he wasn't even included in this mission. Like
at this point, everything that happens moving forward is such an irredeemable moment. Because like, what was he doing? I mean, I guess he was helping people in the mines. Like, he was doing the mine thing at this point in time.
Oh,
right?
he was
like,
there.
Yeah. He was helping at the mines.
Okay, so that's
I
fine.
mean, I guess he was doing stuff, but
yeah.
I don't know. I don't care if I'm being hard on Kevin. He's a piece of shit.
It's just because he hasn't even once said there's a baby in the picture.
No, and I think that's it. Like, I think when he made the choice to walk away from Fangs, the decision was like, I don't have a child anymore. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, they haven't talked about it, so we can only make assumptions. But hey, we just found out that there's a bunch of blossoms in the woods. So like,
because wasn't Tony having the baby for Fangs, or just she had a baby and then they're like, we'll take the baby?
I don't think they ever really wait. Like, did they talk about the fact that
she wasn't a surrogate, was she? Or she got pregnant and then she was like, "Oh, I'll give you the baby." To like,
I think that they were all 3 of them gonna like. The choice was that they were all gonna take care of the kid together.
Okay. Yeah.
As far as I remember, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Did they ever reveal whose baby it was? Like,
no.
Like
the baby
who's
daddy?
the baby daddy?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay.
If they did, it's like someone that we don't know. So
right. Anyway, so then they leave. Cuts to Cheryl and Veronica. They're like in the like whatever, like an area where she's getting like bandaged up, and Cheryl tells Veronica like, you need to go clean up and go home. Like, you're still wearing like Versace right now. Like, girl, like,
you need to get ready. When your man comes up from that mine, he's gonna want you.
Like, you need to be pretty for him.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Like, weird. And also Veronica was like, okay, sounds like a good idea. I was like, you agreed to it too. Like, why did you just leave? You should have just been like, I don't care. Why would
he care if you look like
love
shit?
Him.
He's known you for years. He's not gonna care.
That's the thing that killed me the most. I was
it just
mostly
felt
like
very weird. Like
in this moment, I mean, obviously did it so they could lead to like the Chad fight
I almost
storyline.
felt like I'm like, did Cheryl know that Chad was like waiting for her at home? Because it felt very much
Ooh,
if
set
I
up.
know she wasn't, but obviously like it just felt like Cheryl was pushing her out. She was like, go home, go
Yeah,
home.
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, why? Like
It didn't make sense to me because I think that like considering she literally was like, I just fucked this guy and now he's in the mines and he's in the mines because of my dad.
and let me go shower
I need to be there. Yeah, I was just
so
like,
that I look
why?
good.
What are you doing? Anyway, so she leaves and then she's like, I'm gonna do whatever I can, and she calls upon everything
This was
to
so
like
cute.
bring them out. She literally like prays to the wind and the fire and the water, and it was kind of cool because like it showed like all the different elements. Like the fire behind her blew up, and then she had a moment where like she was thinking about how she was reborn in Sweetwater River in the water. Like it was cool. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I'm also so down for her to be a witch. I know that's like a little too supernatural, but like, what are we doing here otherwise? Like, she literally.
Why are we here?
Why are we here? If you're
No,
if
you're
you're
right.
gonna give her
If you're
that
not gonna
storyline,
take
then
us
just
there.
like take
Yeah.
us there. You know what I mean?
I wonder if there's anything in the comics, and like maybe one of our listeners know more about this, but I wonder if there's anything in the comics in any version of the Archie story where Cheryl is a witch or dabbles in something that's like a little supernatural.
I'm pretty sure there was someone from our listener group who said something about her being some sort of witchy witch storyline. Like I don't know exactly. There was a leak audition tape in which it was revealed that Cheryl is the reincarnation of one of her ancestors that was burnt at the stake for being a witch. A witch from Salem named Salma. Anyway, all this other stuff. At J Edits. Thanks for that. If that's true, we'll see. Anyway, interesting. That's a pretty dark, weird storyline, but who knows what's going to happen in the next season? Who knows? They need a new mystery, obviously, so this could be it. Anyway, as she's doing this, like Archie comes out of the mines and she's like, "Whoa!" Like magic, like it's all happening. Then it cuts to Veronica and she's like about to take a bath. She's like, ooh, I'm gonna get ready for my man.
The bathroom looks so nice. I was like, we've never seen Veronica's bathroom before.
I'm like, I'm into it.
Yeah.
And so then Chad creeps in. Obviously, he's like creeping in. I don't know how he got in. He's like, what do you like climb through a window?
Yeah.
And then she can sense that somebody's there. Yeah. So she turns out all the lights and she says something. She's like, hey, Plexi, like instead of Alexis or Alexa. Alexis?
Hey, Alexis.
Like Alexis. And she turns out all the lights and she plays like loud music. And I was like, wow, I'm going to do that if anybody has like comes into my house.
Yeah. This reminded me of Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah,
but like Chad is just dumb, so like
Chad's a loser.
It doesn't really fit.
You're going to
like,
go kill him.
The whole thing was really cool, and they're like in two adjoining rooms, and then she sees him. I love this whole sequence.
I actually love this whole scene. Yeah. Like this scene was really, really well shot.
Yeah.
It was very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it was.
I knew it was gonna happen, but at the same time, I was very entertained. Yeah, it was cool, and like the classical music in the background playing. Anyway, as this is all happening, Smithers comes back with like a bunch of stuff and he hears gunshots and it's dark still, so he asks for the lights to turn back on. Chad is now dead on the floor. Veronica cold-blooded. She shoots him. She's dead.
Let's just talk about this scene real quick.
Sure.
Let's not forget the fact that like now Chad wants to legit kill Veronica. Like that was already big for me. I was like, dude, when did this become like a murder?
That's pretty big.
Like it's big, dude. That's your ex-wife. Like you guys just like you said you love, like you're gonna murder her now. Like when did this get to this? When did this escalate to this point?
I mean, people do that shit.
I know. Like,
it was just angry.
Like, I don't know. I was like, dude, this is getting really, really intense. Fine, I'll take it. He's gonna kill her. That's fine because she's taking everything, whatever.
Yeah.
But for her to shoot him point blank dead, and she doesn't even flinch.
Yeah,
like I wanted it to be like an OC moment when Marissa kills Trey, and then like Imogen Heap starts playing.
Where are we?
I wanted it to be something like that, where like she didn't mean for it to go off, but she's protecting herself, and it goes off, and then she's like, "What the hell just happened?"
Yeah,
no, this woman's like, bah, bah,
cold-blooded,
like, stands over his body, like, "Yeah, I did it." I was like, what am I watching right now?
She's not even shaking from
No,
like the
she's not.
adrenaline,
And
nothing.
even
Like,
after, because I was like, maybe the next scene, like she'll be like, what did I just do? She was like, I'm gonna go fuck Archie. Like
yeah,
she did not care. That to me is very like concerning
yes,
for a character.
in
Now
my
I don't know if
opinion,
they're gonna take that, they're
they're
gonna go
not.
that route with it. But to me, I just wanted it to feel way more intense, and that she's not a cold-blooded murderer.
Murderer,
Like I get it,
murderer.
it's self-defense. I get it, but like just like the Marissa and OC moment, everyone go on YouTube and Google Marissa Trey OC scene, and you'll understand. It's like you're
So good.
protecting yourself, but it pops off, and then you're in shock still. So like,
Yeah,
I think I would have felt so much more like into her story and like just more emotional if I saw something like that, and just more sympathetic to her. I'd be like, damn girl, you had to do that. Like it,
yeah.
like this one felt like she was fine with it. She killed him,
Like
and he
added
was
to
like
her like
dead.
her bucket of trauma, because like she has nothing.
Exactly.
Her bucket of trauma is all self-inflicted. We've already established this. Everything that she does is always like to her. So they could have made this moment been like, someone forced it on
Yeah.
me. I had to make a difficult
Yeah.
choice, and now I have to live with the
And I've
fact
never
that
killed anyone before.
she's never killed anyone
She's never
before.
killed any, and that's what I'm
She's
saying.
never
Like this is
killed
a
anyone
huge
before.
thing for you to just like the cops won't even come into play. Like no one talks about like, yeah, it was self-defense. I get that,
Yeah.
fine, but like emotionally as a character, like
You
can
don't
we
just
talk
like
about
walk
it?
away and be like, okay, I
I don't
killed
know. Again,
somebody.
it just felt
Moving on.
very cut short. Maybe they'll talk about it next episode. I doubt it. Like you're shaking your head. You're like, probably not.
I don't think so.
Something's
I hope
missing.
so, but like I think that
Something's missing.
they honestly should have taken her there, because literally she gets on the phone with Cheryl as soon as this happens. She's like, "Oh my god, the mines are open again!" Like she just like runs away. You just killed your fucking
someone.
husband
Your
slash.
ex-husband.
He wasn't a. I mean, he did try to kill her, but
It doesn't matter. Like
it
you're
doesn't
still shaken
matter.
up. Like you just shot someone point blank dead, and he's not even like injured. He's like dead.
Like she's out here saying like you're a sociopath to like hire him.
But
I'm
that's
sorry.
maybe.
Are you a sociopath?
Do you think they're gonna connect those two things? Like, do you think now that we've
At this
seen
point,
her do this,
at this point in time, they have to, because
Yeah.
if they don't take that route with her to show that she's like this ruthless sociopath, then like I'm like, what are you doing with her character?
It's like she's becoming her dad.
But at the same time, I'm also just like, you're emotional, you love somebody, you love Archie, you're doing all these things, you have all these friends, you're not this cold-blooded bitch that like you would imagine someone like her to be. Instead, you're playing Veronica in this like middle world where she just killed her husband cold-blooded, or her ex-husband, and is walking away to go like hang out with her new man. Like, it just doesn't feel like on point at all with her character at
It's
all.
very
no
off.
sense.
Like as the writer, I just would have been like, let's add a little bit more intensity to that moment and make it a bit more valid of like her feeling.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I just killed him. Like he's
Like
dead.
don't tell me that
Has she done this before?
No. Like that's what I mean. Like they've been in situations, but they have never, like she's never been the one to kill somebody.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, you got to have her shaking. You got to have her like freaking the fuck out,
Yeah,
like
she was not
crying or
doing any of
something.
those
Like
things.
none of those things. Take the night off, bro. You were fucking sleeping. You're laying in a fucking bathtub like 10 minutes later with Archie. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand why they did that to her character, because it makes me not like her even more.
Yeah.
I'm like, of all the four, if anyone's listening to Twitter, you should know that no one really likes Veronica in comparison to everybody, all the other four, the core four. Do whatever you humanly possibly can to give her the best storylines. We know that Camila Mendes can fucking shake and cry, and she's got the acting chops to do all that amazing shit. And yet you give her like words that we can't even pronounce. You give her fucking shitty lines. And I'm just like, I'm over how badly they're treating
you got her to
character.
say bitch 4 times in one episode.
Which again, I was like over it too.
I was like, guys, one time it was
one
funny.
only.
4 times, I'm over it. Like
yeah,
it's
we're not
we get
doing
it
this
now.
more than
Like
once. Yeah, I was annoyed.
anyways.
I just feel for her character. I feel for her character more than Kevin, because for me, Kevin is like out the window.
She's a main 4. So.
Her, I'm like rooting for her to be great, and she has such potential to like do this thing with Hiram and have these amazing moments, emotional moments. She's such a good actress. I just don't understand why they're
and
doing
you're
this to
right.
her.
Like it would have just added to her trauma. It would have added one more thing, and she could have been like,
at least one.
I just killed someone. Like
I just
what
killed
is
my
life
ex-husband.
right now?
Yeah, like
You
what is
know,
going
like,
on? It would have been
why
anyway.
do they do
I don't know.
this?
Like, anyways, Well, anyway, like that's our feelings on that. Let us know what you thought about how things are going with Veronica, because I just think it's kind of messed up. Anyway, cuts back to Hiram's office, and Veronica basically left Hiram in this chair for like 24 hours, like sitting in this chair.
Doesn't he have like assistants or like couples?
I know, he was literally
just,
by
like,
himself.
Yeah, he was just like sitting there, like.
And also, like, was the chair like stapled to the floor? You couldn't like roll over, like kick it over. Anyway, whatever, it's fine. Like he just fell asleep. Anyways, she's like, I used to admire you. Now you're just like a silly cartoon. I'm not afraid of you anymore. And then she says, bye, you little bitch. So back to like, bitch. The second time she said it, I was like, we don't need this again.
And he doesn't say anything. That's the thing. He just sits there like taking it all in. And I'm just like, where's the conversation happening though?
Like yell back at her and be like, you don't understand.
Yeah, or just say like, you did this to me. Like, I'm gonna, like, he was just like silent. Like,
yeah, I don't get.
It felt very flat for something I was very excited about. It just felt very flat.
And that's the thing. Like, these are the opportunities, to your point, where they can ramp a story up slowly. Like, leave little nuggets, leave one line here, one line there. You don't understand. You took my palladium. The palladium's more important than you know. Little things like that. So when we do get that moment, because I'm still banking on it, but this moment is now going to be taken away from me because you could have led us to it.
Agreed.
Now you're just going to show us this moment, and now all the Riverdale fans are supposed to be like, wow, they really did that for Hiram and Veronica. Like, they really brought that story together. I'm like, we've been waiting for this, and you guys didn't even leave any fucking crumbs for us to even follow it. So anyways, we'll see. They might do an amazing job too. Who knows? Then it cuts to Jughead, Fangs, Betty, and Tony, and they're all like getting ready to go into this junkyard. And another really, really great scene. Jughead goes in to distract this guy because they conclude that it's the guy that he met a long time ago,
Dreyfus,
like the Mothman, whatever,
like
Dreyfus, something. And so he doesn't know that Jughead knows about this shit yet. So he lets him in and he talks. But Jughead like takes 5 seconds to basically like tell them the whole story. Why do these kids always say, you know what, I'm going to be a super sleuth, and then 5 seconds later, this is my entire plan. Like, we know everything. He basically said, like, this is what I think that the story is. So they have this back and forth moment where the guy basically confesses that him and his family started this whole situation where they were stealing shit off of these people who didn't care. Like, which also doesn't make any sense. You're picking up hitchhikers off the road who basically have nothing. To steal from them. You're going
for like the poorest demographic.
You're stealing from the people who don't have anything. He could have just gone off to say, you know what? We're cold-blooded killers.
Yeah, we just like killing people.
Murdering people.
Yeah.
Instead, he's like, it started there and then it turned into something else. I'm like, you should have just said that it turned it. Yeah, like it was that from the beginning.
Even the way he was like talking about it, I was like, wait, is he admitting to all of this right now? Like, he's clearly admitting to everything. Okay, we're doing this. Okay.
And also you would think that they would have at least had like a recorder, something to like, you know, catch him. Anyways, whatever. They say that like it became a sport of catching them and killing them, and then he goes on to say that like no one even cared about these girls, and then Jughead's like, that's where you're wrong. And then it kind of has this like back and forth cut scene of everyone else going through the junkyard. Tony finds Britta in the shed, but then she like gets tapped on the shoulder and she's like, ah! And then hilarity ensues. Mothmen are like running out like left, right, and center.
Fang steps in a bear trap. Poor guy.
Oh my god! I was like, that's so painful. So bad for him.
But then he kept going. Like he didn't even stop. He was like, boom, boom, boom.
Some guy was going after him, and he had a shotgun, and he was about to kill him. Betty kind of locks up, and she like starts attacking her Mothman, but like he has some like impenetrable fucking tin can armor. I was like, if you get shot once with a bulletproof vest that policemen wear, you will get knocked back and maybe even pass out. Yeah. This guy got shot 7 times in a row as he was coming closer and still did not even move.
It was a little like too
it was a little too comic-y for me. Yeah. But anyway, so she's freaking out. There's actually a moment where the Mothman turns into the TBK. I don't know if you noticed, it was really, really fast. Like she's like on the, like
what
she's
does
losing.
TBK look like?
he has like he has the thing on his face, like
The
he has a trash bag
bag.
on his face.
Oh,
Yeah. So she's obviously like not her best because she's like
yeah.
traumatized by it, but it was very, very quick. I almost missed it.
Wow.
So she's losing. Fangs is fucked up, but he kind of gets back at it, and then Tony comes in and saves Betty because she's having
With the
anxiety.
taser, yeah.
And then she like tases him, and then it shows. So to your point of like what happened to Lerman, there's a guy in the corner, and Tony's like, not all the Mothmen are bad. And it's like the guy that she was saying who had like red marks on his face, like I guess
Yeah.
it's a birthmark. And I
Yeah.
guess he was the one that saved Lerman.
But then
Like
he's
he was
still
like a
chilling
young
there?
kid. But he's still
Oh.
chilling there. That's what I mean.
What?
Whenever they give these storylines where they're like, but one of them is the one that
Like,
saved
just
me, I'm
make
like,
them all evil. Like,
you're still a part of
so
like
why
an
didn't he
evil
let
family.
out Polly? Why didn't he let out other
Yeah,
people?
you're still going to jail for killing, like being a fucking accessory to murder,
Yeah.
you idiot. So, anyways, then it cuts to Tony and Fangs debriefing in the apartment. Another very sweet moment where like she's like icing his leg, and I like my heart melted when he says
Yeah.
this. Like it's probably one of my favorite moments of Fangs. And he looks at Tony and he goes, "We got this, right? All of this."
I know. I just got
It actually gives me
chills.
chills thinking
I
about it, because like
know.
when you think about life, and anyway, I
It
maybe
was
I
just
brought
a
it
very
too real to like
vulnerable
my own
moment.
life, but it's like a very important thing to like think about when you're thinking about being a parent, and like all these things are happening, and like I just thought it was very beautiful.
It
I'm so
was.
happy they
It
wrote
was.
that in.
Look,
It
one
was
line. Like I always
just,
say,
yeah,
it comes down to, it doesn't need to be a paragraph, doesn't need to be a whole scene. It's one line that can change the tone of the whole scene, and ultimately the characters' dynamic with each other.
exactly.
It was so cute. It was so
I loved
cute.
it so much.
It partnered them together, and they were like, "We got this." I loved it.
It to the point where you were saying like, "Where's Kevin?" This is the point where I was just like,
Who cares?
I don't know if it would have worked with him, but I'm glad
Yeah.
that it worked really well with Tony.
Yeah, same.
It just
Yeah.
made me so happy. Like I don't really miss Kevin anymore. I'm so happy that they've just like linked them up, and I'm gonna be very upset if they bring Kevin in now, because they're doing all the work. They're doing all the emotional work,
Yeah.
and then Kevin's just gonna come in and be like, "I'm sorry, I was so
Yeah,
fucked
I
up."
messed up. Yeah.
I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do that. So anyway, lovely moment. Loved it. It was very sweet. Cuts to Veronica and Archie in the bubble bath. They're like, "Yas, bubble bath. Like we got saved. Everything's great." That was the end of that moment. As they're like happy and whatever.
Like, Taken, she didn't even change the water probably from
Yeah.
when she murdered her ex-husband in the same apartment.
They probably didn't even clean up the scene yet.
Yeah.
She's probably
could have
like,
gone to Archie's house and done that.
the
'cause that's
police are
disgusting.
probably still investigating what
condo.
happened.
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening?
Yeah. How do you expect your
Bad.
viewers to sit there
Just
and be like,
bad.
"Oh, that's so cute"?
I mean, people would, because they're like, "Varchie, oh my God." Like so excited.
Like,
but when you break it down, I'm just like, bro, like she just murdered someone,
he
and
could
like
have
he's
she could
probably
have said, "I can't believe I just did that. Like, that was crazy." And he could have been like, "It's okay."
like
No,
you had
there
to
was
defend
no-
yourself. Like,
there was no throw to that
nothing.
whatsoever.
and I feel like maybe they'll go through all of this in the musical episode, because you know how they deal with everybody's trauma through songs. So like maybe that's what's gonna
Maybe.
happen. Anyway, they have their moment. In this moment, Hiram, it cuts back to Hiram at the office, and he is burning a picture of Veronica and Hiram. Just as a quick pause.
Oh, I thought it was Hermione. Was it Hiram?
Sorry, Veronica and Hermione. Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. Like earlier on, he was yelling at Veronica like, "Yo, stop being so dramatic." I'm like, who's being dramatic,
dramatic?
bro?
You are
You're
the
the one that's
most.
burning a fucking picture in
First
the middle
off,
of the night.
Why are you burning their picture? What are you okay? So what are you mad about? That she stole your palladium. You just tried to kill her lover.
Like,
You're on even playing field. What are you
Like,
cheesed about? Why
what
are you burning her
pissed
picture?
about? I don't get it.
Like, I don't get it. I just didn't understand it. I was like, why now?
Why are
Like,
you
is
angry?
he done like with her? Is that what this whole thing is about?
He's like, now I'm really
Now
gonna,
I'm
now
gonna burn that
really
picture with
good.
you and your mom in it.
Now I'm totally cutting you out of my will. Like for
Like-
sure. I don't know. I didn't
No,
buy it.
It didn't.
I-
it didn't.
didn't fit with
It
me.
felt
I was like,
cheesy and like, I was like, why are you cheese at her? She's cheese at you too. Like, it's not like
yeah.
you're the only one who like got, you know.
And you're telling me, like, going back to like what was happening with Veronica talking about the fucking quinceanera, this is the moment that you're cutting off your family. This is the time, not when you're daughter and your wife tried to kill you 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like none of that is the reason why you cut them off. It's this moment when she catches you trying to kill her fucking boyfriend. Didn't make sense. Cuts back to Betty talking to Mr. Dreyfus or whatever the fuck his name is, and she's like, tell me where her body is. Know where my just tell me where her body is. And
I thought for a second he would say like, I never saw her.
Yeah. I was like, this is close. This is like very like SVU, Law and Order.
To hear him say she's in the junkyard, it was so disgusting and so like fucking disrespectful. Like, that's my sister.
Yeah.
And just to say she's in the junkyard, like,
it was really sad.
It was very sad.
It was very sad. And like then the moment that led up to this, it's like this beautiful aerial shot of them walking through. It's Betty and Alice walking through the junkyard. And then they get to the back of it. He's like, I'll draw you a map. And then it cuts to them like opening up the trunk of one of the cars. And they don't show the body, obviously. But then it shows Betty and Alice like breaking down in the viewpoint of the trunk.
Yeah.
Heart fucking breaking. I was, you know, like we've been like laughing and joking about like, oh, is Polly dead? Like, do you want her to be dead? Like, is it gonna happen? And I was like, yeah, she's dead. Like, you know, you kind of like just get over it. But until it actually like happens,
and then you see it,
it really doesn't hit you. Like it really hit me. And I was like, whoa, like she's really gone. Hit me.
And like to see like Lily and her acting is just amazing. And
I know
it was silent, you know, like, and just seeing her reaction and then Alice's, it was gut wrenching. It was absolutely gut wrenching that like the end of the story ends in a trunk of a car.
Yeah.
Like it's just very, very sad. It's like,
it was really sad. It was like one of the most like,
I think so. It was like, worse than Jason. For
sure. 100% worse than Jason, because like you actually gave a shit about Polly for a second. And also when you think about it, like she died just like Jason died. They were together. Like it's all just like very like Polly, as much as she was like the side character. Number one, she has two twins, like she was a mother. Yes. We've been saying it from the beginning. It's unfair what they did to her character from the beginning. Like she never had a chance, essentially. Like she just like, it was like one thing after another. She was a part of a fucking cult, and then she was a drug addict, and like
she was like the one that got shit on because she could be disposed. Like that was the thing they did.
Which was it was never fair to her character for sure.
Yeah, I get it.
And I'm just sad that like this is how it ends for her. And on top of it, just watching that shot with like her and Alice. Heart fucking breaking for Alice's character. I don't know how she's not. And to know
that she was there the whole time, like that's the part that kills me too. It's like you guys were there, like she was there.
So fucking sad.
Anyways, that's rest in peace to Polly. Girl.
Yeah,
you know, she got a new show, she moved on. I bet you they didn't know what they wanted to do with her character. They kind of left it like lingering, and then maybe when she was like, I'm not coming back, like my show got picked up for a second season. Like
they're like,
kill me off,
we got an idea, like just kill you off,
just kill me off.
But it's still sad. It was sad.
It's still sad.
Sad moment for sure.
And that's how it ends.
That's the episode. We get that's the ending. So everyone's gonna have to deal with some shit next episode, that's for sure. Let's get into our recap roundups.
Let's do it.
Recap roundups. Best moment.
What was your best moment?
My best moment was definitely the Veronica and Chad like sequence, just because it was filmed, so it was so cool, and it was dark, and it was like it was exciting. I loved it. But again, it's like I really hope that they tap into what just happened. Like she legit just killed someone. So can we, like,
why she's like so unemotional about it all?
Yeah.
Agreed. That was also one of my favorite moments. I put that down, but then I also said the junkyard scene. I thought that was really well shot. Like the way that everything happened in the junkyard scene, I think it was choreographed really, really well.
WTF moment.
What was your WTF moment?
WTF moment, I'm gonna say the storyline, right? Like the whole Mothman storyline. The fact that like Nana basically had the missing key this entire time and like didn't see anything. In the end, like I think I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the way it all kind of resolved itself, but it was still shocking to be like, oh wow, Nana knew the entire time. Basically.
Nana knew this whole time. She's just like been out here eating a croissant, like keeping
and, like,
her.
It was crazy because I don't know who said it. I think it was I guess it was Betty. She was like, do this for like Polly, like she's a part of your family.
Oh, is that what she said? I don't know.
She's like, she had like the kids or something. She had the kids or something like that.
I mean, if she did, that's even sadder.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like she
dark.
said something like that, and I was like, true, like it's your family.
Yeah. My WTF moment is going to Betty's DNA results. Like that was a gag for me. Like because that obviously like leads to what you were just saying with
like, how does it
the
connect?
blocks. How does it all connect? I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like I did not expect him to say that at all. Like, oh, by the way, it's not your sister, but your DNA is connected to this guy. I was like, oh my god, what the fuck?
MVP.
Who's your MVP?
MVP, I'm gonna give it to Fangs because he was so effing cute this episode.
cute.
He had the shotgun. Even at the end, he was like, do you really want to test a shotgun against like a piece of metal on your chest? Because he's like, I will fucking knock you out.
Yeah.
It's like, yes. Like he was just the hero. He was like the hero of that whole, like one of the heroes. They were all
and again,
heroes,
he
but, like
such a glow up this episode.
Yeah.
He got like such good screen time, and it was very enjoyable to watch.
loved him. I really
Very,
did
very
love this
enjoyable to watch.
episode.
And
Yeah.
he's also so fucking handsome, this guy. This guy. My MVP is gonna go to his other half, Tony. I was so into like what she did for Britta, how she was out here like fighting. She's a fucking new ass mom and she's out here like kicking some ass. I was so into it. Loved the whole guidance counselor scene, and of course, like you were mentioning, with Fangs, I loved it. I loved them
strong
together.
Secondary characters like between
So strong.
Tabitha, Tony, and Fangs. Really strong characters right there.
They're doing a really good job with
Yeah.
those characters. The other ones, I don't know.
Yeah.
LVP.
LVP. I'm gonna say Hiram.
Okay.
I just said you tried to kill Archie more than once. Like, why are you mad burning Veronica's photo? Like,
It's like
it's
fire.
just like very dramatic for like a thing that like you guys both fucked up. So like, why
Yeah.
are you cheese right now burning a
Yeah.
photo?
Exactly.
It was just like, you're useless. And also, why are you giving Chad, like, it was just like sloppy work all around.
Yeah.
Pretty much from that episode, from Hiram and Chad.
My LVP, one of them was Chad for sure, just because he was a sloppy loser. But also my LVP is gonna go to Nana Rose. Sorry, Nana Rose. Why are you holding all this information?
She's, like,
Not telling
holding
anybody. Like, girl, you're out here acting. One day you're acting as if you have dementia and you don't remember anything, and the next minute she's like, "So this is what happened. My husband was a cheater," and da da da. Like, I was like, well, okay, like that's the most lines that Nana Rose has probably ever gotten ever.
In like one sequence.
Yeah, it was crazy.
The best line.
What was your best line?
A best line, I'm gonna give it to Cheryl when she starts to pray, and she says, "I call upon wind as I have once before, blow a cool wind across Archie's brow. I call upon water where I saw my departed brother in the icy depths of Sweetwater River, and where I myself was reborn. And lastly, I call upon the earth." I was like, yo, this part's like good.
That's some dramatic stuff.
It was very like dramatic and beautiful because like it's true, like she was reborn after that moment, like in the water herself. I loved it. It
was great.
This whole thing with the earth and Cheryl is like coming together for me. Like I'm digging it.
And I'm honestly so glad that Kevin is not a part of the storyline anymore because like he doesn't even deserve to be a part of this cool magic stuff right now. Like get out of here.
You're like, goodbye.
Goodbye. My best line is going, and I know that we talked about the whole little bitch thing.
Yeah.
She says this to Chad, and and it's Veronica saying, "Check and mate, you little bitch." I kind of love when they put in these bitch moments because you know that like Twitter's gonna pop off and be like, best moment. But you know that they kill it now because they add in bitch every episode now.
Once an episode.
Like 3 times an
cap.
episode.
That has to be, she said it to him. Just be done with it. And then she sees her dad later. She's like, "You're a bitch. You're a bitch. You're a bitch." I'm like, okay, it takes away the funny part of it because like, you're using it for everyone now.
They did that with Betty last year too. Remember? It was just like, "You psycho bitch. You psycho bitch. You." I was like, okay, once every 4 episodes, maybe. Yeah, that's it. That's all we need.
Agreed.
We did get one listener roundup. I was like hunting.
Aww.
From at MTV Horror.
Love it. Love the name.
Their best moment was when Tabitha looks to Jughead for comfort about Squeaky. Ooh, I didn't even notice that. Like she like goes and like tries to hug him or something at the thing. I don't know.
Notice that.
WTF moment, Archie being in a tub with Veronica and not in a hospital. Like actually, what the fuck?
True.
Agreed. MVP Cheryl. Okay. The power of wind and water.
Yeah.
LVP Chad didn't think he was gonna die, but I'm okay with it. And best line is Cheryl praying, like your line.
Aw, nice.
Loved it. Outside of that, I don't know if we got any, but as always, we're always excited to hear your roundups. So always send them out. Let us know what you thought about the episode. And excited to hear what you have to say about this episode and the next episode.
Yeah.
I would like to take this time to thank our patrons of the episode, our Rewinder squad, White and Nicole, our lit rewinders, Tina Ann, Soleil, and Kate, and our mommy rewinders, Becca, Sarah, Tamla, and Grace.
And if you would like to join our Patreon family, check us out at patreon.com/recap_rewind.
And then make sure you guys are checking us out on all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter. Our new Twitter is recap_rewind pod. I can't even get it right. The fuck? Recap_rewind pod, YouTube and Facebook. You can also check us out on all podcasts everywhere, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Like, subscribe, follow, and review to comment to stay engaged with us at Recap Rewind. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.